Can Chris Wilder produce a miracle at Bramall Lane? Sheffield United have not had the best of starts to the season. Bye-bye, Hecky, but he's come in, he's got the win, and they're looking up rather than down, maybe? This is the Premier League show. Welcome to Back of the Net. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
We're Bournemouth fans, and we're very happy after an okay weekend. Can you remind me what happened, Tom?
We just went to Old Trafford and won 3-0, mate.
Yeah, very good. But look, this show is not all about AFC Bournemouth. Let's take a look at the league table, though. This is where we're at. We've got a new leader, Liverpool, at top of the league, 37 points. And they're up there in form with Villa and little old AFC Bournemouth, who have climbed to 14th. And as we scroll down, you can see, there we go, the three promoted teams are the three bottom teams. Is that how it will finish? Tom is not so sure, because Wilder is giving the Blades fans some hope. These are the weekend's results then. In the lunchtime game, Crystal Palace led against Liverpool, but they turned it around all square at the Amex. Something happened at Old Trafford, not sure what. But at Bramall Lane, though, 1-0 over Brentford. Wolves and Forest played out as a 1-1 draw, and then Villa got the win against Arsenal. They are flying. And then 4 games on the Sunday as well. Everton are out of the bottom 3. Fulham, what's happened to them? Man City, they did what they had to do. Luton gave them a good game. And Spurs 4, Newcastle United 1. But we plucked out a number of points. How many?
Just the 5, mate.
So let's go. Point number 1. Can Villa win the league? We suggested that maybe Champions League is a possibility on a latest video, but winning the league? Are you mad?
It's a weird one, because I think
They could, though.
Yeah, could they? I remember the Leicester season that everyone would talk about, and everyone's going, oh yeah, they might get top 4, but they ain't going to win the league. And that's kind of what people are doing with Villa now. But what people don't realise is Villa have got, no disrespect to Leicester, they've got miles more quality than that Leicester team had.
Yeah.
And they're playing really good football. And they controlled the game against City in the week, but at the weekend they didn't. And Arsenal had loads of chances, but they still found a way to win. So it's like they found a couple of different ways to win, which is massive for them. I think people talk about Europe. I was one at the start of the season that thought they might drop off because of Europe. But what I didn't appreciate is they've got so much quality that they can actually rest players in Europe and still be fine. So for a long period, I think, until the latter stages. So I'll be very surprised, mate, but they've got one of the best coaches in the league. We've already spoken about that. They've got a really, really good squad. They've got one of the best strikers in the league. So you're looking at it and going, why not? In a weird way, why not? And I mean, not be funny, they've played Man City and Arsenal in a week, kept 2 clean sheets and got 6 points.
That's incredible.
Yeah, their form is unbelievable. I mean, you know, beating City and Arsenal is one thing, but getting a point at Bournemouth as well is
massive.
That is impressive. That is impressive. So Villa look good, mate. They're in a really, really good place. And as I say, I think the difference is because they've got that coach that has got decent CV on him. You know, I think, and Emi Martinez has won a World Cup. Do you know what I mean? They've got players in there that I feel like they might be up for the fight and up for the battle. Be interesting to see. You know, one bad result where they start to slip, but listen, they put themselves in a position where they're looking at top 4 minimum. And yeah, we expect City to kind of kick on. But City, Arsenal, Liverpool, they're all faltering, and there's got to be a team that might come through, and Villa are looking like that team at the moment anyway.
But could it be Liverpool? That's point number 2. They're top of the league, but were they lucky, Liverpool? Or is this just a sign of champions, what they did at Crystal Palace? It was you said that not everyone can win at Palace. Well, it turns out they can, and they did it 2-1 winners. And they have got some of the best form in the league, along with Aston Villa as well, and Bournemouth. But I thought this might be another transitional season for Jurgen's boys, and I said this before, but it's clicking well at the moment.
Yeah, and what's a weird one, and it's a compliment to Liverpool, is when I watch them, I don't think they look brilliant.
No.
But they're just winning, and that's why I said, is that a sign of champions?
Same as Arsenal so far, really.
Yeah, in a way.
Apart from the weekend's game, of course.
Yeah, in a way. I don't even think they've hit their levels yet, so it'll be interesting to see if they kick on, or if they, as I say, are they just getting away with it a little bit? Because the Palace game, they've had some controversy go against them this season, Liverpool. Don't get me wrong, they've probably earned a bit of luck. But I felt there was a degree of that. Obviously, they get a very, very late goal. Credit to him, because Harvey Elliott comes off the bench, gets a winner. You can't say that's all luck, because that's good management and a good impact from a substitute. But yeah, the Palace went down to 10. Thought that was a bit fortuitous, which I'm sure we'll come on to. But So you kind of look at it and go, Liverpool weren't great, they scraped that. But then you go, yeah, but is that just a team that, again, that we've spoken about it before with that mentality of what Klopp brings to a team?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Look, with Manchester City at the moment, even though they're 4 points behind Liverpool at the moment, people expect them to be probably winning the league. And then they would look back at this game at the weekend against Luton and be like, well, they did what champions do.
Exactly.
So it's just how you perceive the team.
Yes. Yeah, because you could say, exactly right, mate, you could say, you know, City's win is, that's what City do. But then, well, you've got to say the same about Villa not playing well against Arsenal, winning 1-0. Arsenal in the week scoring last minute against Luton, and Liverpool scoring last minute against Palace.
Exactly.
Well, why is that different?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's just evidence and previous, isn't it, of City? You know, the amount of titles they've won. But we've got to remember, Liverpool won one as well, and when they didn't win the title, there was one season where they got an unbelievable points tally, and it was only for City's brilliance. So I'm starting to think I've been saying lately that I think it is still City with Arsenal being the challengers. But the more it's going on, I'm thinking Liverpool being amongst it for me. Just because I think they've got that know-how a little bit. And Jurgen Klopp is a winner, and he's a mentality monster. And I do think they'll be there till the end as well, mate. So I think Europe will play a part with all of them teams as well. So, but it's good to just have a bit of a title challenge.
Yeah.
You know, feel like it's going to go on for a while. So that's a good thing for the league.
It was brilliant at Bramall Lane for Chris Wilder. Can it be a surprise in Sheffield? Look, they are bottom of the league, but he's given them new hope as they defeated Brentford, mid-table Brentford, 1-0. Where are they at, mate? I mean, look, it's going to be tough, but it's fair to say they've definitely got more of a chance under him than they had under Hecky.
Yeah, and it's not to discredit what Heckingbottom did to get him promoted.
Because he did brilliant.
Yeah, and it was always going to be really tough for him. I always felt like whatever happened, he was always going to struggle to see the season out. They lost some key players, as we've spoken about. But what Chris Wilder, obviously going to have a bit of there's always a chance of a bounce, which we're maybe it's just that, and we'll probably go back to this and see if that's the case or not. But he knows the club. Yeah. The fans love him, and I just think he is that type of manager that will just enjoy it and will just go, you know what, everyone's expecting us to go down. Yeah. You know, what's the arm? But what I'll say is, keeping a clean sheet against Brentford, by the way, Brentford are one of them teams that if one of the big boys, I remember Tottenham at the start of the season drawing there, and I know this was at Bramall Lane, but when a team draws, a top team, say, draws with Brentford, you go, yeah, Brentford's tough. So, keep a clean sheet and win 1-0 then. You've got to give credit to Sheffield United. Let's not just say, it's just a bounce, you know, you can beat Brentford. I think Brentford are a good side, and that's a really impressive victory for them. Do I think they'll stay up? I'm probably still going to say no at the moment. But it'll only take a couple of good results back to back, and I'll go, well, hang on a minute. Yeah. Wilder can make that difference. What I will say is they're going to be in the scrap. I don't feel like, as much as everyone's saying there's a bit of a gap forming, the three promoted teams look a lot weaker than the others, I don't feel like someone's going to get cut adrift. I think whether it will be all them three, I think it's going to be tight. You can see that already. I don't think there'll be one team like Blessed Southampton last season will kind of cut adrift a little bit. I don't see one team getting cut adrift, and I felt like with Sheffield United that might be the case, but I think Wilder will make them competitive till the end. Agreed. So put it this way, I'm glad we've got Bramall Lane out of the way.
Yeah, agreed, yeah, because it's
I'm really pleased from a Bournemouth perspective. So yeah, let's see what happens, and it's good for the league, mate. The Wilders come in and will make it competitive, so be interesting.
Point 4, 5-star Fulham. Silva is certainly doing well with them recently. They've been fantastic, Fulham of late. And when you sort of have a look through their previous fixtures, I mean, 3-2 over Wolverhampton Wanderers, which is a decent result. We know how hard it is to play them at home. 4-3 over Liverpool. I mean, they were so unlucky with that. They really were. Liverpool came up late and got the win. 5-0 over Forest, 5-0 over West Ham. 13 goals in their last 3 games, mate.
Yeah.
It's so weird because they're a team that we expected to get pulled into it, but whenever that happens, Silva proves us wrong.
He does. I can go all the way back to when we got promoted with Fulham, and I remember saying, I'm not sure about Silva. I've completely changed. I think Marco Silva has proven it now, proven his mettle. For sure. I think the writing was probably the turning point was weirdly the actual defeat, because I think at Liverpool obviously they were unlucky, but to score 3 at Anfield, you go, And then it's proven because then they've went and scored 5 and then 5 again. We should have probably made it 0.5 because they've scored 5 goals.
They're coping all right without Mitrovic, obviously.
They are, and Jimenez has found a bit of form.
He's good.
It's not ideal for, they'd probably say the same, but not ideal for us that we've got them soon because they've turned a corner, but then they would say the same about us. I didn't think anyone would have had as good a week as us, really, but they've had an amazing one. 2 5-0 wins. I don't really know what's happening there. Like I say, Jimenez's form's helped. But I just think that's another case that Forest will probably be looking at it, and a few teams will be, that actually that's a tricky patch. But if you know you've got a good coach, then you know you've got a good coach.
Yeah.
So just calm down, because they had a tricky spell, and maybe it was a case of finding a way without their talisman. And I think people that don't get the credit are your Williams, your Alex Iwobi.
Yeah,
they're players that don't get the credit. When you watch them, and to his credit as well, Harry Wilson, who I'm not a massive fan of for what he did at Bournemouth, but you can tell there's a good footballer there. Yeah. And they get a bit sturdier at the back. I've always said Bernd Leno's a top goalkeeper. I think the back four are solid as well. So yeah, I think they're turning a little bit of a corner now, mate.
I mean, just how mad is the Premier League though? So they smash West Ham United, who then previously won at Spurs. Spurs have just beaten Newcastle United 4-1, who we beat 2-0. Is this the weird? It seems to be a weird Premier League season where everyone's just beating each other.
Yeah, absolutely mad. I think. We've spoken enough about Villa's form at the moment, and we just talked about them in a title race. I think their last defeat was Nottingham Forest, and the last time they dropped points was Bournemouth. It's a weird one, but it's good for the Premier. This is what we want. This is what we want in the Premier League. We want a kind of feeling of anyone could beat anyone. And Fulham, massive credit to them. I think I'd be fair in saying that Bournemouth and Fulham are not missing a Mr. Scott Parker.
Point number 5. Is Poch in trouble? I mean, look, they're a funny side. Again, sort of when you think they're in a bad place, he turns it around. And when you think they're in a good place, it goes bad. Look, 4-1 over Chelsea, 4-1 over Spurs was good. And then a 4-all against Manchester City, superb. Yes, it wasn't great against Newcastle United, getting pumped 4-1. But in December, beating Brighton, always good, 3-2. Close one against Manchester United in the Premier League in the week. And then what happened to Goodison? I mean, I know that Goodison have got that siege mentality at the moment, and I think a lot of teams will not want to be facing Sean Dyche's men at the moment. But the fact is, they're 12th in the Premier League, and that's not good enough. Level with Bournemouth, little old tiny Bournemouth, as Roy Hodgson says. Yeah,
it's not ideal. I don't want to be harsh on Man United because they're a lot further ahead, but there seems similarities there where you feel like when United have turned a corner, then they have a bad result, and vice versa. Yeah. It's similar with Chelsea. I've said a lot that I just feel like Chelsea, it's all a bit of a madness, but at least they've got a good coach. Yeah. And I'm not going to say he's suddenly not a good coach, but it gets to a point now, this is why we've kind of highlighted it, it gets to a point where, especially with the owners, and you know what they're like at the moment, just chucking money about and sacking managers, where you go, is he in trouble actually? Because whatever you say about what's going on at the top, same at Man United, in terms of it all seems a bit messy. They've got a lot of young players and it's not quite working. There's going to come a point where they go, yeah, but should the manager be doing a bit better? The Man United game, we can see it first, quite clearly now because we've just gone to Old Trafford and won. That, their performance against Man U was just not good enough. And then Everton, I think this is the clearest thing, is I went, one of my, not bankers, but when I was looking at the fixtures at the weekend, I went, Everton beat Chelsea at home. Everton clearly beat Chelsea. I didn't think that was a surprise at all. And I think I looked at some odds and they were like 2-1. And I thought, that's mad. Because in my opinion, Everton will beat Chelsea. And it was a comfortable 2-0. Yeah, it was. It's a worry for Chelsea. And like we've said about Man U a little bit, when we, obviously, because we had to dissect it going into our game against them, I'm not sure how Chelsea are playing. I don't really see the patterns there at the moment. I personally, if I was I think you've got a good coach since the end of the season, but there will come a point where you go, this can't go on.
Yeah, that's right.
And I even wonder if Poch doesn't realise what he's got himself into a little bit. But yeah, strange one, but Chelsea don't look right, mate, and I kind of wish we had him a bit sooner, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there we go. That is the 5 points we noticed this weekend. We always have some official observations. It's usually about the refs or VAR. You alluded to the fact that you thought that Palace's Red card was a little bit harsh. What was it? 2 yellows for Ayew?
Yeah, I just thought it was stupid. Really, I just think there's no need to get involved there. Didn't think it was a second yellow. Really harsh on Ayew, and it did change the game. And I felt for Palace in that situation. Obviously, from Liverpool's perspective, after the absolute calamity against Tottenham, they probably feel they're due one. But yeah, it felt really harsh. And it's just going on to the other points, mate, as well. It's the consistency is what's annoying me.
Handballs.
Handball law. This is one that goes, I don't want to be too critical on officials or VAR. This is the law. The handball law is an absolute farce. We saw it. Luckily, it didn't matter. We would have beaten Man United 4-0.
Yeah.
The ball, nothing changes.
Yeah.
He is going to tap that ball in an empty net,
yeah.
Dango Batara, but it brushes off his hand.
And what's mad is that no Manchester United player saw it or contested it. Not one saw it. No one in the stadium shouted handball. But yet some guys who are like watching through like binoculars every little pixel of what happens notices it scrapes off his arm. It doesn't change the trajectory of the ball at all.
It's just the ball is falling to him. If you haven't seen it,
they're finding a way to kill football.
Yeah, exactly. And the worst thing is we're in a entertainment, and a sport, and they're finding ways to get rid of goals. I just don't get involved.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to make it look like Bournemouth, because it happened at Arsenal as well. Villa probably, I say, got away with one. This is why I'm trying to make the point that it should be ruled out because of the law, but the law is ridiculous. Yeah. Because it doesn't really change much that it hits Havertz on the hand. Yeah. It's not really changing much. They can't really do anything. You can't chop the hands off. And I don't think anyone's kind of understanding the handball thing, and it's just all a bit of a mess, mate.
You did say once as a rogue shout, look, should we just simplify it? If it touches your hands at any point, it's handball. That's it. That's it. Well. And we might as well do that, because the same thing will happen in 2 different games. There'll be 2 different outcomes. So why not just simplify it?
The only thing.
Yeah,
when I made that point, the only thing I'll go against it is our players clever enough to then just kick the ball in people's hands and get penalties. But at the moment, we need some sort of clarity. It seems so inconsistent. It just doesn't feel right, does it? And the law about it touching your hand, if it impacts a goal, it can't count. There's got to be some common sense, mate. There's got to be. But unfortunately, that seems to be away at the moment. The other point I wanted to make was about the consistency. I don't want to see red cards in games. But Romero on Callum Wilson is a dangerous tackle.
Very much so, yeah.
Jayden Brown at Luton, can't remember exactly who it was on, against Man City.
Lucky.
They're both lucky. I was kind of quite pleased that neither of them are red cards. Yeah. But next week that'll be a red card. That's what annoys me, is there's no consistency. I don't understand. I don't know if it's a red or not anymore. What's
your thoughts on the sin bin? Because that's been introduced in some, lower down the pyramid. Would you be a fan? Because then, sometimes there are some decisions that would be a harsh red, but then probably more than a yellow.
What my point on it would be, I know they do it in rugby very successfully, completely different sport. I think what would end up happening is just say 4 minutes. I don't know. I'm just thinking randomly. Say someone gets a 4-minute sin bin. All that means is the team that have had the sin bin go, right, we've got 4 minutes now. Sit back, low block, time waste. And it'll just kill it, because teams will just go, we've got 4 minutes to 10 men, so we just absolute S-house our way for these 4 minutes, and it'll just ruin it. Yeah. Because I just think teams will then you see it, and I just don't think it would work because of that. I just think you see it when teams go down to 10 men, it's difficult to break teams down. Yeah. And I just think for a short period of time, it'd be even easier for a team to just kill the game. Yeah. So that's why I'm not sure about it. And I just think we're overcomplicating silly things. Let's trust the referees a little bit more. Let's maybe get some, even if we look in Europe, but let's get the top referees.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's make them better. Let's help them rather than making it harder for them. And let's use a bit of this.
Yeah.
Let's use some common sense and stop bringing in stupid laws. But what we'll say, it was a bloody good weekend at Barclays. Yes, a few little
prime Barclays.
Yeah, a few little VAR shouts in there, but ultimately it was a really, really good weekend, really enjoyable one. And I'm not just saying that because it was for us, but it was for us. Loved it. And at the moment, we're seeing a few teams at the bottom starting to pull away a little bit and get some results we didn't expect. We're seeing a title race going on. It's all good fun,
and
mate.
We could join it. We could join it. You never know. By the way, lovely the fact you said S-House, by the way. Just like thinking of that YouTube algorithm.
Always,
you know your
mate.
shit, don't you?
You twat.
Thank you for watching the Premier League show. Really appreciate it. Look, plenty of content on the way. Premier League shows are most Tuesdays on this channel, unless we've got midweek fixtures going on. So yeah, we're going to be trying to be unbiased as possible.
Yes.
But we beat Man United!
Come on!
Up the Premier League, up the chest.
See you later. God, we're good. Oh.